G'day guys, welcome to another episode of My Blue Heaven. This is what I put out on social media on Tuesday, late Tuesday afternoon, I reckon around about 4 hours before the game against the Swans. It was on Twitter. I wrote, I know it's not the greatest attitude, but is there any other Carlton fans out there that are still flat from the last two games and could not give a shit about tonight's game? I mean, I'll be watching, but not feeling one bit of excitement at all. Maybe it's just me. So I put that out there. I let it brew. I went for a run as I usually do before the game, about an hour or so. And then when I got back, had a shower, I thought I'd just check if there's any responses. And there was. There was around about, by that stage, around about 150 comments to that tweet. And not so much to my amazement, but 95% of the responses were in agreement with my sentiments, the fact that I couldn't give a shit, my poor attitude about my football club and another game of football. And yeah, I don't even know why I put that out there. But what it did say to me in reflection is I was being a fucking sook, a real sook, okay, about where we find ourselves in that situation. I was having a sook. And it took one tweet from, I don't know who it was, but he said, thank God you aren't fucking playing for us tonight. Okay, taking that attitude in. And that actually hit me right between the eyes. Okay, that actually hit me right between the eyes. Because I think one thing I've learned this year is how to become what I consider a proper fan. And that putrid attitude of mine, is that what I expect from my football team? Okay, to take that same attitude into that game. All right. So it's been a learning experience this year to finally start following a football club again, a proper football team again. And sometimes I don't think personally I know how to handle that. And once you start expecting wins, expecting the best from your football club, it's very hard to know how to handle that. So that was a complete and utter brain fade on my behalf. And I was also just gobsmacked at how many Carlton supporters were in agreement with me. And our boys certainly showed in that first half that maybe they were under the same sense of lack of excitement about the last 2 weeks. So maybe they put the cue in the rack, because that's what it actually felt like. So I felt like I was actually justified putting that tweet out there, and that was even worse. Did I want to be right? No, I didn't want to be right. But deep down I knew when we trailed by 39 points, I was really confident still that we would fight back, I wasn't 100% confident that we would win, but I knew we would fight back, because this is what our team does. This is one thing that I can rely on this year, and since David Teague has taken over, that this team can be relied upon to at least fight back. And this is something I couldn't have said about my football club in the past. So this has been a learning experience for me this year. Before I get started, just a quick shout out to Matthew Kreuzer, okay, who announced his retirement today, the big tractor. We all knew, most of us knew, if we were being realistic, it was coming, and it was made, I suppose, the decision, and whether, it's probably not the right time, whether Matty was pushed, whether he was told that, time was up, or whether it was his own decision, only time will tell. But it wasn't probably made easier by the fact that he'd missed pretty much the whole season except round one. But with the form, and I'll talk about Tom De Koning in a minute, but the form of Big Tom and the excitement that he brings to the table, particularly in the latter half of this season, and then again on the weekend, I thought he was outstanding, but also the reliability of Mark Pitnett. I think we knew it was coming, but it doesn't take away from the fact that it is a pretty sad day for the football club, that such a warrior and such a fine servant, leaves the game. And leaves the game, I suppose, in disappointing circumstances. We didn't get an opportunity to say goodbye. And what I do know is that early in his career, it looked like he was going to be one of the premier ruckmen in the competition. And his first 3 years, until he went down with that ACL against Fremantle, halfway through his third year, it looked like that he was going to be something pretty bloody special. And he never quite fully got his fitness back after that. It was just one injury after another. If it wasn't his knees, it was his feet. If it wasn't his feet, it was his back. If it wasn't his back, it was his heart. Then he had the concussion problems. And then again, it was his foot again this year. So he's just dogged with injuries. In 2017, I think he should have been an All-Australian in 2017, at least on the bench. He was absolutely outstanding. Max Gawn, no bigger tribute, okay, and I don't know whether Max Gawn will come out, okay, at any stage and talk about Matthew Kreuzer, but at that time, when Max Gawn was just starting to make his way as a really fine ruckman, he spoke in glowing terms of Big Kreuzer, said he just found him probably the most difficult opponent to play on. And even said that he'd go and watch Kreuzer play in his time off. He'd actually make the journey across to the MCG to watch Matthew Kreuzer play, Big Maxi Gawn, because he just loved the way he went about it. So, unbelievably fine career. Let's get back onto the game. So that tweet, that attitude, 39-point turnaround. What do we know about our football club? We know that we're up for the fight. Okay, but there is a fine line. There is a fine line between winning and losing. So in a review such as this, there's always a tendency, okay, to probably focus too much, okay, when you get the 4 points in those circumstances where it's such lopsided. One half is so poor, but the other half is so good that you get the 4 points and you really want to concentrate on the positives. And this season's been all about winning. It's all about winning. So we've just got to bank those wins regardless of whether they're ugly, or beautiful. Okay, we've just got to bank them. So I don't really want to focus on the negatives at all in this review. We know them. Okay, they are as clear as daylight. Often, okay, we look like a fucking dog's breakfast, okay? Execution inside 50, the synergy between our midfield and our forwards. We're like the ugly, okay, we're like the ugly bloke who still picks up a reasonably good-looking chick, okay? It's messy, okay, but a little bit more spit and polish, okay, maybe we can just take that next level. But at this stage, okay, it is still relatively messy in the regards to we want to play. But I don't want to get onto that. Okay, I want to focus on the positives, okay, because I think that is important. I think that is really important. Okay, let's face it though. Sydney, then I know what are they? Fourth on the bottom of the ladder, but they're no mugs. They're no mugs. Let's get that straight. So what did I like? What did I like about this win? Okay, so I think the turnaround for me, the turnaround from the week prior against the GWS Giants, I spoke about the fact that we were smashed in uncontested possessions the week before we were smashed by something like 50, and that was pretty much a trend right throughout the game. And I said, okay, if that trend continued, which it was at half time, that continued, eventually they would break our back, and that's what they did. Okay, now Sydney obviously play a little bit different to the Giants, but we turned that stat around. We are a particularly good contested football team, but on the weekend we were plus 35 in uncontested possessions. I think that is a testament, okay, the fact that we also won contested possessions, but we smashed Sydney in uncontested possession. That suggests a magnificent amount, okay, of work ethic, okay, the ability to run and spread. And that was really one of the reasons why we got going in that second quarter. What I like to do, obviously, is take a little bit of a snippet from the opposition coach's press conference. And I rate just about every coach, okay? But there's certain coaches in the competition that I think are just magnificent. John Longmire is one of them. He just, once again, a straight shooter. I think he's done a wonderful job with a very young team this season. And as I said, they're no mugs. They've beaten the Giants. They beat Melbourne, two teams that, we were unable to beat. So we had to fight for this victory. But once again, we are not being patronised now by opposition coaches. Once upon a time, it was like, they'd ask the coach a question about Carlton. Oh, yeah, they've got some talent. They're a club on the rise. But now, I think we're the real deal when it comes to opposition coaches planning against us. They outworked us, both in uncontested possessions and in contested possessions. They were John Longmire's words. But he then went on to say, and this has been consistent once again, and this is why I think David Teague's mantra, the way he wants to go about this is going to be sustainable. Sure, it needs some work. And work will need to be done. But we are looking at a sustainable game plan here. We need to bring some players in who are going to help us achieve that going forward. But this is John Longmire, and this has been consistent right the way through. This is what he said. They are one of the best teams at keeping the ball in their front half. They are one of the best teams to keeping their ball in their front half. That's what John Longmire said about our team. So really happy with the way we continue to play that way. All right, another little thing I want to talk about in regards to a positive outcome from this game is leadership. And I think it's something which has been undersold a little bit this year and something that I have been critical at times. But just on reflection, I think we need to take our hat off to what we've achieved this year in that regards. And I think it's a fraction underrated. And I think it's something which we cop a fair bit of heat about, that we lack leadership. And I think that's a complete furphy. Now, I don't particularly like the word underrated. When someone says that player is underrated or this is underrated, because it's almost like a sense that and someone else doesn't. I'd prefer to say something like, I reckon our leadership is bloody good, because it's pretty obvious it's good. Okay, it's obvious that is good. All right, and I want to show you a couple of things that I picked up from the weekend's game. Okay, a couple of reasons why not only is it good now, but it's going to be bloody good in the future, moving forward. The first thing I want to talk about is Patrick Cripps. Now, I've been one of the biggest critics of Patrick this year in regards to his form. And I suppose that's the high expectation in regards to, or the high standard that he set, in his career thus far. But he just hasn't had that same level of impact in games. And I've been critical of it. In a season where I wanted to play finals, or I expected to play finals, and internally I think the club expected to play finals. I've said that all along. We didn't want Cripper to have such probably a season which was not up to his standards. But what I have noticed, is a man whose demeanour has never changed as the captain of this football club. Never changed, regardless of whether he's been struggling, whether he's having an impact, whether he's having a quarter where he's only had 2 possessions or 1 possession, whether he's coming in at halftime and we're down. It's never changed. He's always been upbeat. In fact, he's always looked happy and full of energy. For a bloke that probably hasn't played his best football, he's always looked like he's up for the fight. At quarter time, when we were trailing, 4 goals at quarter time, and it would have been the same old situation back at home. We'd have been sitting on our lounge suites and going, fuck, here we go again. So that's our attitude. Have a fucking look at this. Sydney are going to do a number on us. They've kicked the first 7 goals of the game. They kicked the first. There's another goalless quarter. That first term. That's what we would have been thinking. Not Cripper though. I think Big Levi takes a mark just on quarter time and kicks it behind. What did we kick? 3 behinds for the first quarter, or was it 4 behinds? Not to kick a goal. Cripper, I think, had 1 or 2 touches in that first quarter, was hardly sighted. But he happened to be the first person to the group. I watched him closely and the cameras were there. He looked pumped. Okay, he wasn't insular, he didn't look upset, his shoulders weren't down. The boys, okay, they were up and about, okay? This isn't about Patrick Cripps, okay? This isn't about Patrick Cripps' personal, what he can get out of his football personally, okay? This isn't about Patrick Cripps being All-Australian this year. This isn't about Patrick Cripps winning a Brownlow medal. This is about Patrick Cripps, okay, being the captain of this football club and sacrificing his own game to the benefit of us moving forward. And I can see that in him this year. I can see that in him this year. So that needs to be, okay, we need to understand that. We need to understand that. I think his leadership with Doc this season has been sensational. Sensational. Not just them two as well. I think there's been a significant shift in our older blokes this year in regards to their leadership. Simo, Ed, Murphy, Liam Jones have all been outstanding in this respect. Okay, so let's just support them. Let's just support them in that regard. And I think we're in pretty good hands. Okay, we're in very good hands with that current leadership group setting that example. And then it moves on to the next layer. Let's have a look at the next layer. And another little observation I made from Tuesday night late in the game. Okay, so we've got Jacob Wiedering down back. Not only is he one of the best key defenders in the game, but there's no doubt that this bloke is a future leader of the football club, whether it's going to be captain, vice captain, whatever it is, he's got it written all over him. Okay, just his everything, the package, the way he plays, his steadiness, the way he speaks, he's got a presence. Okay, so there's one. The second one is Will Setterfield, the one that's just gone under the guard just a little bit, under the radar just a little bit. I think he's shown not so much significant improvement this year in the way he's played his football. I thought he was okay last year, but he's been good this year. But it's more about him around the ball, okay, and what I think he can offer us moving forward in regards to leadership. Now, when Matthew Cottrell took that mark late in the game, okay, with, what was it, minute 20 left on the clock, whatever it was, okay, in a pressure cooker situation. And hats off to the kid, he was magnificent to go back and calmly slot that ball through. And now, how's that, okay, 20-year-old rookie playing, what's it, fourth or fifth game, goes back and calmly slots that through, 20 years of age. It's like we often forget how young these blokes are. You know, with the football world watching, huge national audience watching this young kid go back. It's just magnificent. This is something we haven't been able to do in clutch situations. That's twice this year in clutch situations that we've made to being able to feel fucking good about our football club and what they've been able to do. Imagine if he'd sprayed that and put that out in the full. So it was just a magnificent moment. But the first bloke that went to him, I think De Koning went to him first, or Cripper went to him first when he took the mark. Okay, I think De Koning might have gone to him first, and I think they're pretty good mates, those two, Cottrell and De Koning. Isn't that great to see young guys coming through who are really close? But Setterfield was the one. He was the one who spent a fair bit of time with Cottrell, just calming the nerves, telling him to settle down. And look, you mightn't think that's a huge deal. You mightn't think that's a huge deal. About that calming voice, though, from a 20, what's Setters, 21, 22, just in your ear, go back, take your time, okay? Don't do anything silly, okay? To me, this is something we haven't had, just that calming influence. And there's another one, okay, that we can bank on moving forward. It is just a really steady head, as Will Setterfield. And the other one, okay, who's more obvious, okay, and let's have a chat about him, because he's just something else, and that's Sam Walsh. And, you know, I spoke about Wiedering before, and they're going to battle it out, aren't they? I mean, it won't even be a battle, but who will be the captain of the football club in 4 or 5 years' time, or 6 years' time, whenever that may be? Will it be Wiedering? Will it be Sam Walsh? Will that be co-captains? But this guy's cut from a different cloth. He is human, but he's not human. And I might just say now that the pile-on, not just last year, and I've never really mentioned it, not just the pile-on last year, but also the continued pile-on this year in regards to Sam Walsh have been nothing short of disgraceful. And everyone's entitled to an opinion. I've got no problem with that. But it just happened to be that it was this draft, this player, that was under so much scrutiny, and this draft in particular was dissected to every inch of its life and continues to be. And Sam Walsh continues to be scrutinised more than any other number one draft pick. And the way he's gone about his football, and to be able to respond to that pressure the way he has in his second year is nothing short of fucking extraordinary. So to any person out there who continues with your shit about trying to rearrange the fucking draft, then give it a fucking rinse, for fuck's sake. You're making a fool out of yourself. Okay, so if it wasn't Connor Rozee last year or Nick Blakey, if it wasn't fucking Ben King last year, or then fucking Sydney Stack, the cheek of calling Sydney Stack, okay, what's he doing now? He's fucking mopping up garlic sauce off his shirt. I mean, for fuck's sake. Okay, and then we had the cheek of that little fucking rat, Bailey Smith, when we played the Bulldogs. Back in, what was it, round 4 or 5 when we touched him up there. And no disrespect, but fucking hell, Bailey, for fuck's sake, mate. You go up to Sam Walsh behind his back and smash him in the back. Do you think that's going to put him off? Do you think that's going to put him off his game? A guy that's been scrutinised, okay, all through his whole first year, more than any other number one draft pick, wins the Rising Star Award, and you think that push in the back's going to, gutless from behind's going to put him off? I don't think so, mate. I don't think so, buddy. You've got fucking nothing on him. That's the problem. And none of that shit's going to put this kid off. He's going to continue. He's continuing. You know, I don't think even Sam Walsh worries about it. Like, I don't think he even worries about it. It's all water off a duck's back. And that's what actually makes him special. That's what actually makes him special, because he doesn't give a shit. And maybe we give a shit too much. But he is amazing, not just the way he plays his football, but the way he represents his football club, and he's changed it. He's changed his football club. Came in when it was a basket case, and now we actually stand for something. Okay? We stand for something. So, absolutely brilliant once again. Then, okay, let's have a look at some of the real sparks, the real positive, okay, out of this game individually, okay. I'm talking about the way we play. I'm absolutely pumped and proud of what Teague's done with this group this year. I wanted finals, expectation of finals, but nothing wrong with failing. There's nothing wrong with putting it on the line. We didn't get there. I was flat disappointed, pissed off. Okay, but he's given it every opportunity, but he's galvanised this group. He's galvanised it. He's brought us together to actually mean something. Opposition supporters now look at us now and go, we're going places. Okay, they can see it. Okay, they continue to hang shit on us, but they can see it. They can see a united group. And Teague's brought that. He's brought that. Okay, Tom DeConning, amazing. What a game. I know he wasn't up against a lot. Okay, Sinclair's okay. Sinclair's done a number on us before. Some of his work at the clearance, his loose ball gets, was just first rate. I mean, I was talking to Mark Alvey yesterday about Tom DeConning. He reckons he's going to be the next superstar of our football team. And I can't disagree. We'd have to just take it a little bit easy. We just have to take it a little bit easy, but he's something special. It's not just the football ability, but there's a kid out there who's enjoying his football. Look at him. He's enjoying his football. He wants to be out there. He wants to be a part of this. Magnificent. Great to see SBS fight back. No doubt about that. He looked like he right from the opening bounce. And I know I've read things about that he struggled in the first half. I thought he was on straight away. There was a couple of, I think he fell over once and he was chasing his opponent once, and he was a little bit off the pace a couple of times, but right from the opening bounce, he was proactive. It was almost as someone said to him, just go hunt the football. Just go hunt the football. If you make a mistake, so be it. Okay, it was clear. The message must have been clear. We want you to get the football. Just go get it. If it's there, get it. See ball, get ball. Okay, and it paid off. Okay, it paid off. It was great to see. His ball use was magnificent. I'd like to see him sometimes kick a little bit longer, with a little bit more penetration, but maybe that is the instructions to go shorter. That's the style. Okay, because he rarely misses the target, and he's just so clean. Okay, when he goes for the ball, when he picks that ball up off the ground, there's no cleaner player at our football club. And this is a class I was speaking about last week that we've lacked. Okay, he provides that in our back half. Okay, but that was a positive. Now we need consistency. 2 more games of the year, we need some consistency. That's one game. Okay, his best game of the year comes towards the end of the year. We need to see that. Okay, we need to see that again against Adelaide. Okay, we need to see that again. I want to finish off the season really well. Jack Newnes. It's fucking great to be wrong. I think it's fantastic to be wrong. I think it's good for the soul. It's humbling. And some of my favourite players are blokes that I've been really hard on at the start and misread. Judge the book by its cover. I love this bloke. I don't know. I just love him. I love everything he stands for. And it's not just the goals. It's not the goal after the siren. That bloody helped. I just love what he stands for. I sort of can't put a finger on it. I know he's really well respected within the playing group. He plays a role, an important role. He's just given us something at a really crucial time, and no better person to have in your football team in such a difficult year than Jack Newnes. Who knows what the future holds in terms of whether he's going to be capable of being, a permanent fixture of this football team. But geez, he's done a magnificent job this year, Jack Newnes. I thought he was really good once again on the weekend. Really good once again. So it's just a special shout out to Jack Newnes, becoming one of my favourite players. Just like to finish on Kade Simpson. And coincidentally today that Matthew Kreuzer has announced his retirement. Okay, and everything's just starting to sort of come into place in that regards. We'll soon know list sizes for next year, and we'll soon know the ramifications of list sizes and who goes and who stays, particularly from our senior group. I put a tweet out yesterday in regards to Simo, and I was once again, I'm not saying I was wrong here, but I thought at the start of the year and last year that Simo had become somewhat of not a liability, but I didn't like the way he was playing. He was getting far too much of the ball and not using it too well, and he wasn't great defensively. And that was even a little bit clear at the start of the year as well, but there's been a significant shift. I don't know what's happened, but I think there's been a significant shift with Kade Simpson and the way he plays in this football team, and now his importance to this football team. One, I think he's, like Kriuzer's been able to do this year, he's sacrificed his game. He's become a lockdown small defender. He can win his own ball. We know that. He's courageous. He still does all that stuff. He can win his own ball, but not as much. And because he's not winning as much of the ball, he's not inclined to, turn it over as much, okay? But he's done some wonderful lockdown roles this season, and it's allowed the likes of Tom Williamson and then Sam Petreski-Seaton on the weekend to grow as players themselves. Kade Simpson, okay? Kade Simpson's form in the second half of this season warrants, okay? And I don't give a shit how old he is. I don't care if he's fucking 555. Okay, he deserves another year next year. Nothing to do, okay, with letting him go out on his own terms. Okay? I actually don't believe that shit, okay, that a player who's been, 340 odd game, legend of a football club, they just get to decide when they want to leave. I actually don't believe in that. But what I do believe in, that if your form warrants it, okay, you deserve to go on. And it's not like Simo is limping to the finishing line. In fact, he'd be the last bloke I'll be saying to, do you want to rest, mate, this week? Okay, to rest those tired old legs. He don't look like he needs a rest. Okay, he looks like he could continue on for another 10 weeks, Kade Simpson. Okay, he's not slowing up anytime soon. So this notion that he fucking next year, in 12 months' time, a lot of things can happen. Okay, he's built differently. His body's built differently. Okay, he's like a whippet. Okay, he's not slowing down. I'd be gobsmacked. I'd be absolutely gobsmacked, okay, if Kade Simpson is not going around next season. Because that's if he wants to go around. He might decide he wants to call it a day as well, but it doesn't look like it. It doesn't look like it. That's a wrap, guys. We have got the Adelaide Crows on Sunday, and Bryce Gibbs makes his return. It's a fucking little bit bizarre, isn't it? Oh, Gibbo is making, I don't know how many games he's played this year, Bryce Gibbs, but that's going to be interesting. Let's give them a good old touch-up, and let's finish the year on a positive. And I've no longer lost interest. I'm not going to be like that. I don't want to be like that anymore. Okay, I want to see it through to the end, and that's what I expect from my football team. Okay, I want to make sure that they see it to the end. Because I remember last year how disappointed I was in that round 23 loss against Geelong down at Continued Park where we just put the queue in the rack. Okay, I remember how disappointed I was with that. Okay, let's not do that this year. Let's finish off on a positive note.